This video is about the various sampling methods that one might use to collect data. Alright, first you have the convenience method. That's where you just pick the group that's right in front of you because it's easy. For example, if I wanted to know what an entire school building felt about a proposed new schedule, and I just went ahead and surveyed the class that happened to be in front of me, that would be the convenience method. Convenience method is usually biased because a group that happens to be in front of you might have a lot in common, like maybe they are all a calculus class, or maybe they're all juniors, and maybe whatever it is that they all have in common is something that's going to affect their answers differently than the rest of the population. Alright, next we have self-selected. That's where the people who take the survey or whatever choose for themselves whether or not they will participate. So that's like if you set out a bunch of surveys on a table with a sign and you say, hey, anybody wants to come take this survey, come fill it out, it'll be right here. That's going to be self-selected. Or anything you post on a website, a survey, or a survey that you send out in the mail. These are all self-selected because they can just throw your survey away or ignore it. I've colored this one pink as well because self-selected sampling is almost always biased because the people who feel most strongly about the issue are the ones most likely to bother participating in the survey. Also, this sort of weeds out a lot of people who are just super busy. So you have an overabundance of people with a lot of time on their hands filling out self-selected surveys. So that leaves out a lot of people who have a lot of things in common if they're super busy. And it might affect the outcome of the survey if you include all the super busy people. Anyway, let's move on to systematic. The systematic method is where you pick every 5th person that walks in the door, or every 10th person, or something like that. Alright, then you have simple random. This one is the one that is least likely to give you biased results. That's where every single person in the population, or object, has an equal chance of getting picked, and you let a random number generator pick the sample for you. That's simple random. Alright, next we have clustered sampling. Clustered sampling is where you randomly pick whole groups at a time. So sticking with my school analogy, if I randomly picked 5 classrooms, and once those 5 classrooms are picked, I give the survey to everybody in those classrooms. That's clustered sampling. So the difference between simple random and clustered, for simple random, you're randomly picking individuals. But for clustered, you're randomly picking whole groups at a time. Whole groups. People often get this confused with stratified. Because in a way, you still are dealing with groups, but with stratified random, you have various categories of some kind. Sticking with the analogy of a school, you have, in a high school, you have freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So let's say if you wanted to survey 100 people, but unlike simple random, where you just put everybody's name in the computer and you just let the computer pick 100 people. Now, if you do that, you're likely to get some freshmen, some sophomores, some juniors, and some seniors. But it's while the numbers might be close, you're not likely to get exactly 25 freshmen, 25 sophomores, 25 juniors, and 25 seniors. Just by random chance, you might get more of one group and less of another. So if you wanted to make sure that each category of student is represented equally and fairly, then you would go to a stratified random, where you might say, okay, yes, I'm going to choose randomly, but I'm going to randomly choose 25 freshmen and 25 sophomores and 25 juniors and 25 seniors. So by specifying ahead of time the number of each type that you're going to survey, it's not completely random. Now it's stratified random. But so you might want to do that if there are different categories that you want equally weighted. So sometimes they'll do that with groups of men and women. They'll survey 50 men and 50 women, and that would be stratified random. Alright, let's test and see what we've learned. Okay, a survey is being conducted to determine if residents want to raise property taxes to increase school system revenues. The county surveys every fourth person that enters the county fair. Well, this is clearly systematic, so we're going to say C. Systematic is the one where we do every fourth person, or every other person, or every 10th person, something like that. Next, a survey is being conducted to determine if residents of Cobb County want to add a traffic light at the rear entrance of Hillgrove High School. The survey is given to the first 1,500 people that attend Hillgrove versus whatever football game. McEachern? That sounds like convenience to me, because you're just using the people that happen to be there at this football game. Next, a survey is given regarding students' favorite lunch line. Students are randomly selected from the freshman class, sophomore class, junior class, and senior class. Well, they went out of their way to mention that we're getting some freshmen, some sophomores, some juniors, and some seniors, so that makes it stratified. Alright, it would have been more obvious if they said how many of each type, but I think they're getting their point across. Stratified. A survey is being conducted to determine if students would like to have prom at Hillgrove High School instead of an off-campus site. The survey sheets are left at the front office for volunteers to pick up if they want to participate. Okay, they're giving us a pretty big hint that this is self-selected, because the survey is there for whoever wants to participate. A survey is given regarding their favorite class at Hillgrove. All freshmen and all seniors are selected to take the survey. This sounds like they're getting at clustered, although it would have been a better example if they had specifically said the word randomly in there somewhere. If they had said two classes are randomly chosen. I don't think this is a great example of clustered sampling, but it is an example of clustered sampling. All freshmen and all seniors, alright? As opposed to stratified, where you're picking some of each. You know, if I pick 10 freshmen and 10 seniors, that would be stratified. But if I do all freshmen and all seniors, I'm doing whole groups. Again, I would have liked that example better if they had talked about maybe classes that were randomly picked or something like that, but it is technically cluster sampling. Last one, a survey is conducted to determine if residents of Cobb County would want a running/walking trail built into the West Cobb area. Residents are called at random to determine what residents would like. I think they are shooting for simple random sampling. I mean, they use the word random right in there. I would have liked it better if they had said something about having everyone's number and using a computer to randomly dial, but they say that it's random without describing how. So we're going to take them at their word. Alright, that's going to be it for this video about sampling methods.